So the other day I was watching World Cup 2018 highlights because, well, there's no football on. And whilst admiring all the sensational goals and that beautiful, beautiful Kieran Trippier free kick, why oh why didn't the Croatians get tired? I noticed that a fair few of the 169 goals were scored by players who have graced the Premier League. So here are 14 obscure Premier League players you forgot to score at the 2018 World Cup, and where they are now. Number 1, RICARDO QUARESMA. The Portuguese winger has had a curious career, which included a 6-month loan spell at Chelsea where he failed to live up to expectations, and that pretty much sums up his whole career. But in 2018 he finally made it to the elite competition, finally making the Portugal squad for the World Cup. And he took his opportunity, scoring one of the goals of the tournament against Iran, a stunner with the outside of his right foot into the top corner to seal their place in the round of 16. Nowadays Quaresma is playing for Kasımpaşa in Turkey, but the 35-year-old could become a free agent at the end of the season. Whenever that is. Number 2, Iago Aspas. A man who has done sensational things since leaving Anfield, Iago Aspas' time at Liverpool is simply remembered for one of the worst corner kicks in Premier League history. The forward lasted just a year at Anfield before leaving on loan, and then permanently in 2015. He scored just one goal for Liverpool, but when he returned to Celta Vigo he was on fire again, and was named in Spain's 2018 World Cup squad. He would score as well, netting a dramatic late equaliser against Morocco with a back heel to put Spain through to the next round. There they met Russia, where Aspas sadly missed a penalty in the shootout. Still with Celta Vigo, Aspas has scored 9 La Liga goals in 26 appearances this season. Number 3, Andrija Kramaric. For all of Leicester's success, they must really regret letting Andrija Kramaric go so early. He was a club record signing when he arrived in 2015, but only spent a year in England before leaving. He would score 4 goals in 20 games across all competitions, but then joined Hoffenheim in January 2016, where he's achieved the potential Leicester thought he had. His form in the Bundesliga made him a regular for the Croatian national team, and he would score a single goal at the 2018 World Cup, finding the net against Russia in the quarter-final with a lovely stooping header. Kramaric is still with Hoffenheim, who are 9th in the Bundesliga. And just think, he could be the Jamie Vardy replacement Leicester are going to need someday. Number 4, AHMED MUSA. Speaking of Leicester, AHMED MUSA is another former Fox who found the net at the 2018 World Cup. In fact, Musa would score twice for the Super Eagles in Russia, scoring both goals in a 2-0 win over Iceland in the group stage. That's exactly how many Premier League goals he scored for Leicester as well, an underwhelming signing following their title win in 2016. In the year 2020, Musa is playing at a much lower standard, playing his trade in Saudi Arabia for Al Nassr, where his teammates include former Liverpool stopper Brad Jones and Watford winger Nordin Amrabat. Number 5, Andreas GRANQVIST. A penalty merchant, Andreas GRANQVIST scored from 12 yards twice at Russia 2018, first against South Korea, then against Mexico, his first goals at a major tournament. But while he was a goal scorer at the World Cup, he was a bit of a Premier League flop back in the day. In 2007 he joined Wigan from Helsingborgs, but barely featured in his first half a season. But in the summer he became a permanent Atlantic and played 14 Premier League games, only to leave in March 2008. Now aged 34, GRANQVIST is back with Helsingborgs, winding down his career with his third spell at his boyhood club. But if things had gone differently, he could have been a Manchester United player in 2018, if you believe what you read in the papers of course. Number 6, Paulinho. A big money signing for Tottenham in 2013, Paulinho actually had a decent first year in North London, scoring 6 times. But the year after he featured less, and in the summer of 2015 he was on the move, joining GRZEGORZ Evergrande and taking his talents to the Far East. He'll go down as a Premier League flop, but was that really the case? He somehow ended up at Barcelona and scored a fair few there as well, but he's now back in China, taking in his 3rd spell at GRZEGORZ Evergrande, where he's won 3 league titles. But at the World Cup in 2018 he was a goal scorer, netting a delicate lob over the Serbian goalkeeper to kick off a 2-0 win for the Samba Stars. Number 7, Grzegorz KRYCHOWIAK. At the 2018 World Cup, Poland were absolutely crap, and that's despite having an easy group and some sensational players. Robert Lewandowski didn't score a single goal at the tournament, but one man who did was Grzegorz KRYCHOWIAK, who we all remember from his woeful spell in the Premier League with West Brom. He should have been a marquee arrival at the Hawthorns, but he was anything but, playing 27 times as the Baggies were relegated to the Championship. Nowadays he's playing in Russia for Lokomotiv Moscow, having been signed from PSG after a disappointing time in England. But even though he was shocking in the Premier League, KRYCHOWIAK went to the 2018 World Cup and scored, getting the only goal for Poland in a 2-1 defeat to Senegal. Number 8, Wahbi Khazri. Tunisia are one of England's opponents at the World Cup, and they came up against a player with Premier League experience. His name was Wahbi Khazri, who had a mixed time at the Stadium of Light. He was one of Sunderland's saviours under Sam Allardyce, but by the time David Moyes took over he was something of a waster, leaving on loan in 2017, then permanently the year after. At the World Cup though, Khazri reminded Sunderland fans what he was capable of, scoring twice in the group stage despite being eliminated early on. In 2020 he's a St Etienne player, with his Sunderland history part of the distant past that hasn't been documented on Netflix. Number 9, Andre Carrillo. In 2017-18, Watford signed a Peruvian winger on loan, with Andre Carrillo arriving from Benfica and spending the season at Vicarage Road. He found the net once in the Premier League, and that was enough to make the Peru squad that summer, where for me he scored one of the goals of the tournament. Carrillo scored a brilliantly controlled volley to give Peru a win over Australia, their only win of the tournament. While they may have had the best kit, it wasn't the best team, put it that way. In 2020, Carrillo was playing in Saudi Arabia just like AHMED MUSA, but Carrillo was with Al Hilal where he plays alongside Sebastian Giovinco and Bafétimbi Gomis. Number 10, Mbaye Niang. Once one of the highest rated forwards in Europe, Mbaye Niang is another man who had a loan spell at Watford, but he didn't arrive as one of the best forwards in Europe. In fact, he was looking for consistency, having struggled to nail down a place at the San Siro with AC Milan. Niang scored twice for the Hornets in 2017 but didn't get a permanent move, eventually going to Torino in Serie A. But at the World Cup, Niang was a Senegal player after giving up on his dreams of playing for France, and he would get a goal on the grandest stage, netting against a desperate Poland side in the groups. Things are on the up now for Niang, who has finally settled with Rennes, scoring double figures in the past 2 seasons, so well done him. Number 11, Carlos Vela. This man should have become a Premier League regular for Arsenal, but for whatever reason it didn't work out. He failed to really break into the starting 11, making sporadic appearances before going out on loan multiple times. Once he went to West Brom and scored twice, but his 2011 move to Real Sociedad was career defining. He would earn a permanent move to Spain and finally start to achieve his potential, for club but not country. However, he was at the 2018 World Cup as part of an impressive Mexico squad and got his one and only World Cup goal from the spot against South Korea. Now he's playing in the MLS, netting a ridiculous amount of goals for Los Angeles, and proving that maybe he ended his La Liga career a bit too early. Number 12, Juan Cuadrado. This man should have been much more at Chelsea, but the Colombian winger simply joined a long list of exceptional players who didn't really get a chance at Stamford Bridge. Cuadrado cost Chelsea an initial £23 million, but after 6 months he was loaned out and never played in the Premier League again. He would join Juventus on loan and is still playing for the Turin Giants, winning title after title in Italy, as well as competing in the Champions League. As for the 2018 World Cup, Cuadrado played 4 times for Colombia and scored in a 3-0 win over Poland, but was unable to help the side beat England in the knockout stage. Number 13, Ola Toivonen. The Swedish playmaker was previously a player to be admired, having scored a load of goals whilst at PSV Eindhoven. He was one of those players you wanted to see in the Premier League just to see what he could do. Well, that chance came in 2015 when he joined Sunderland on loan, and it's fair to say that he could do absolutely nothing in England. Ask any Sunderland fan, they will shudder at the sound of Ola Toivonen's name, a man who had little to no impact in a red and white shirt. But at the 2018 World Cup, he was able to do something he couldn't at Sunderland: score. He got the opener in a dramatic game against Germany, but Sweden were unable to hold on as Toni Kroos's late free kick spoilt the party. Nowadays, Toivonen is playing his football in Australia, back on the goal scoring trail with Melbourne victory. And number 14, Shinji Kagawa. Our 14th and final player, Shinji Kagawa, is a man who should have done so much more at Manchester United, having been an absolute superstar for Borussia Dortmund. But after just 2 seasons at Old Trafford he was back in the yellow and black, not quite the force he once was. But at the 2018 World Cup, Kagawa was on the scoresheet for Japan for the 31st time in his career, netting the coolest penalty you'll see ever against Colombia. Okay, it was just a normal penalty, never mind. Nowadays he's playing in the Spanish second tier for Real Zaragoza, with the hat-trick against Norwich merely a part of the distant past. So those are 14 obscure Premier League players who you forgot to score at the 2018 World Cup and where they are now. Let us know what you think in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, but until next time, we'll see you around.